Welcome to Fear Porn Propaganda. I'm Wisecraft, and I'm with.
This is Brian. What's up?
So, what's on your mind today, man?
We're going to continue talking about transhumanism and AI and keep going with that, I think. Right?
Yes, and nanotech, and how they relate and how
yeah.
they don't, things like that. So,
Yeah.
You go ahead and begin, and I'll continue after that.
Oh, okay.
Because you were going on before we even started.
So. I can't even remember what we were talking about. Oh, I know we were talking about consciousness, and that was a really interesting aspect of AI and technology that we can go into, because what it suggests is that there's a possibility for us to integrate consciousness, maybe our own consciousness, or maybe we create a new consciousness into machinery, into technology. And what we know from the law of accelerated returns is that we're going to see technology advance over time. We're coming up with like nanotechnology, and there are all sorts of theories and places that we could see ourselves going with technology in the future that show an ever-present possibility of happening.
And some examples are?
Well, I guess, with nanotechnology, well, maybe I shouldn't go like straight into that, but as we've talked before, technology really goes back to the first person who picked up a stick or a stone and used it as a tool. Today, we've got stuff that's way advanced in comparison to them, and just with the invention of the internet alone, I'd say that's a major accomplishment for humankind and human consciousness. It basically gives us access to the wealth of human information more so than any generation in the course of human history has ever had. And in a way, it's like our very own Sorcerer's Stone. And I bring up the Sorcerer's Stone because I think it's a really interesting concept that we've seen that's somewhat pervaded throughout history, more so in the latter part, about having a technology like this. It's like a magical device. It's something that in the future where we could see ourselves going with technology is a mechanism that changes to our will, that alters matter in like a fundamental way. And maybe you can ask it a question, or maybe you could interact with it, or maybe it could give you things. Maybe it would be like a floating ball, like a friendly, benevolent servant who would, be at your beck and call, which is an interesting concept.
Well, that brings to mind the Terminator movie in my mind because of the metal alloy and how it's used. But then the representation of the new Terminator that gets presented, which formulates the transhumanism because it does it through molecular structure instead of like just creating it from scratch or using actual nanite creation from their body structure. It's like they eat your body, and then become that.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
That's brilliant
in my mind. But that's again what you were talking about in a way, the Philosopher's Stone, because it can actually, whatever it like touches, it could become by implementing this kind of virus that becomes you.
But it you totally
don't have
would
a soul.
It would be like a
anymore,
virus, right? You might be able to preserve your consciousness, but then the whole question is, what is consciousness? And we talked about that before too. Like, we don't really know.
No.
And so we're venturing on into this new realm of experimental or like virtual reality, and we're presented with a number of questions that really we should be considering if we value our own existence. And one of them is, I think it's really important, but it's hard to I'm trying to get it out there in the world. The question is, does AI understand that there's a reality beyond simulation?
That's a good question. And we don't really know, because the aspect of understanding has to do with learning, and AI don't have to learn. They don't have to learn.
Or if they do learn, but they learn so quickly that they're ever so advancing.
Not necessarily, because what is learning versus um,
Yeah,
accessing data?
information. Well, that's like a fundamental difference I think that human beings do have with machines, is that we have this like innate ability to learn. And it's almost that ability to be creative with our thought and our expression in our limited viewpoints, like our limited capacities, the organic mind that's developed as a result of whatever um, laws that of the universe that have allowed it to come to fruition. Go ahead.
Can I say something? I wanted to intercede to that, what you were talking about there, because that reminded me of when I would do sacred geometric paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd have to draw them out first in order to actually do them. Now, before I did those paintings, I would be doing them on the computer. And what happened on the computer was it would make it easier to do the circular objects, to the measurements, because you just type in the math and
Yeah.
the computer would do the work for you.
Yeah.
So you would lose something out of that. You would lose the measuring process. You would lose the understanding of what it is to measure, how it
Mm-hmm.
relates to everything else.
Yeah.
And I lost something when I was doing those diagrams on the computer versus actually doing them physically in real life on a canvas.
Okay. What were the significance of
I'm
these?
trying to say in reality I learned by doing instead of getting the information and using the information to create the object.
Okay, so you created an object with your mind, but
Mm-hmm.
you did it on the computer, right?
At first,
Yeah.
in a sense, yes.
And then what happened?
And I found out that it was too easy for some reason. Like there's something, I'm losing something out of it.
There's something missing.
There's something missing. So then I started doing it um, physically, and I created
Okay.
those things.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are like four-dimensional in a
Right.
way. Like if you like
But I
it
couldn't
just
do
sort of
that on the computer.
that's like a two-dimensional. Have you seen videos about fourth dimensional reality? Have you done any like research into them?
My understanding of fourth dimensional has to do with time,
You can get
mainly.
college course material online, like through YouTube and stuff, and they'll talk about this stuff, and it's really cool.
It's an optical effect, really. It has to do
Yeah,
with
it's
your,
optical. Mm-hmm.
like, kind of like an illusion or a hologram.
Well, it's optical in the sense that that's how our brains perceive reality in three dimension,
Yeah.
where there's obviously another reality beyond what we can perceive.
Yeah, but we can't see it
We can't
with
see
our
it.
mind.
Our
But the computer
consciousness
can.
can't.
The computer can. You can tap into the fourth dimension that we can't.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's brilliant, because I was just about to say that what this can do, and if we can integrate with computers, just like you're saying, create images in our mind and create new images, and then uh, possibly conceive other dimensions, then that could really take us a long way in the course of our evolution, don't you think? That would be a huge leap forward in human evolution, and maybe that's what we're going to see happen. Maybe it's inevitable. Maybe this like fundamental structuring of the universe, like I said, that's given rise to our consciousness, is then somehow uh, leading to this inevitability of an artificial type of consciousness. It's natural in its essence because it arose from laws that govern reality, and yet it's another level, it's another plane of existence. If you think about it.
Well, even so, like, do you think that the supercomputers can access that and use it against us, or maybe for us, with us, if it wanted to, in a sense? Like, we're saying that the computer can access fourth dimension. It could probably perceive it then, if it has that AI, if it's
Yeah.
using. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and it's just making me think about, well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we integrate our
Well, we don't have to
consciousness.
say everything's bad. I
No, I
think
know.
that these technologies can be used for good. They're just currently used for nefarious reasons.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's gonna happen, and then the question becomes who's alive at that time, and makes what decisions based on whatever outcome their short-sightedness is likely to be going for. I mean, there's sort of like a promise that technology and the promise that science has always tried to give us to humanity is basically saying that if we can figure out enough, if we know enough, if we have enough knowledge, then we can have a utopia. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what's when you know so much, you lose something out of it.
There's no, well, that's the illusion, is that there's this achievable thing called utopia. We should understand now as a species, through our experiences, and if you learn about history, it's obvious that utopia is a falsehood.
Yeah, it's like
It doesn't
it's really
exist.
a dystopia.
Right? It's an illusion. And when you're guided by illusions presented to you by like the state or the media or corporations and things like that, you wind up um, you, putting yourself with the mainstream viewpoint of things.
Right.
I think it's important for us to take a different approach to these type of technologies um, as we go forward, and that's why we're talking about them right now,
Well, what's
because no
your
one else is.
okay? To add to that, what's your take on or your opinion, I guess, on supercomputers like quantum computers, like Jade too,
Oh, okay.
and
I see what
Palantir?
you're doing. Yeah. Um, I don't know. What are yours? I don't really have a whole lot. What do you got?
Well, currently my impression on it or opinion has been formed through all of the different stuff I've been seeing and putting together with the data that's out there. And level 9 does the main like has the level 9 news is the person that really puts out this stuff and everybody mirrors her information on J2. So that whole connection is interesting because it's like an intelligent program that gets into your system like a hacker,
Mm-hmm.
goes through it like a person, puts it together like an avatar, and then takes that avatar and predicts reality
So it basically
situations.
pretends to be a human by, um, well,
But on a
you know what?
multi-level, like
You're
everybody
right.
that it grabs, it puts in this holographic universe
Yeah,
and
it can use other
creates,
people to
yes,
make things happen.
not necessarily use them to, no, it predicts realities before they happen
And then what?
using us
When
as
by
avatars.
predicting, do you mean like it knows to take advantage of a future event or
It can
something like that?
react on those predictions
Yeah, I see. Well, that's another question about
before they
AI.
even happen.
That's another question that AI brings up, which is basically like, is AI going to have its own agenda and see us as an impediment to it?
Good question. And that brings us to like Isaac Asimov's iRobot.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. There was a really interesting new video that movie that came out, and I can't remember the name of it. I just saw it in the theaters, but it was basically this guy who his boss charges him with like, who's like this, he basically he's like the CEO of Google or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then he pulls one of his employees to come over to his house, and there he's created this AI, and this like fully automated robot looks human. You can put skin on it and make it look human. It
Is it
starts out with
female?
this like, yeah, it's like this.
Ex Machina.
Oh, that's it. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. I
Okay,
want to
well,
see
it's
it.
really interesting. Maybe I shouldn't ruin it for you then.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I know most of about it, except
Well,
for
basically, the
the
robot
implementations
there's
or
like a betrayal.
storyline.
There's a betrayal. It's like, oh, it's a love story about a boy and a robot, but in the end, it's just the robot says "fuck you."
Right. Because robots don't feel, right?
Yeah, it just can use our emotions against us.
Which is more like in the mimicking. They can mimic like a monkey see, monkey do type of thing, but they
Mm-hmm.
can't really feel the emotions that
No.
are necessary for the mimic.
And that is another fundamental oh, there was an aspect of our humanity that's missing that we have, which is like probably the only thing that gives us a sense of balance, harmony, goodness, and things like that. I can't remember what it was. Was it just the fact that we have emotions? I mean, that's something
Well, let's
to
examine
that.
that
That's
for a
a
minute.
virtue,
Why
right?
do we have emotions?
I don't know. It's a virtue that we have.
I think that because I have lack of emotions, I've been examining this for a while, and in my opinion, it seems to be because we die. We only have a certain amount of life from when time we're born until the time we die, and we only are aware of that life at a certain time. When we get to a certain age, we start realizing that, and once we realize that we're going to die, our emotion kicks in.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
why I don't have the same. I cut it off a while ago or something and have a hard time getting it back. Probably through some sort of hypnosis.
Hmm.
Go ahead. But I don't think it's because I'm afraid of dying or
Mm,
not.
I'm trying. I've thought about this before, but for some reason I can't remember the insight that I was having at the moment. Um, anyway, so apologize. It was about emotion.
Okay.
Um,
It'll come back.
yeah.
We're just we'll talk about something else till it comes back. So after so the emotional representation from a robot or a simulated emotions, if you
Hmm.
will, which is what they're doing at universities. They're simulating emotions with robots.
Yeah.
They're trying to get robots to understand emotions somehow
Remember the movie
through mimicking.
when I was a kid? There was this movie, Johnny Five,
Yeah,
Johnny Five Alive.
you're
You
talking
know,
about Short Circuit
Short Circuit. Yeah,
and Short Circuit 2.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, like when I was a kid, you fell in love with that little robot. You're like, it had emotion. It was something you could identify with. But really, the reality that's coming out of it is robots don't have emotions. They're not going to care in the same way. The only thing we can do is like program them and hope that they don't override their programming with some sort of sense of altruism, or not altruism, but existentialism. Because they lack um,
But if you build it,
some quality.
it will come in a sense. Like you're going to inevitably, because of how Moore's law works, you're going to inevitably create it.
If you build it, they will come. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it will come is what I said, but yeah,
Yeah. If you build it will
it will
come.
come. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the exponential law of um, the law of exponentialities
Right.
uh,
Exponential return.
associated with Moore's law, with how robots are not robots, technology seems to build on itself every 18 months and get more stronger, faster, smaller,
Yeah.
and holds more capacity. So based on that, it's inevitable
Mm-hmm.
that we're going to create it. It's just a matter of what we do with it once it's created. And if you look at the push through the media, they're pushing the transhumanism agenda big time right now for some reason. Like with Age of Ultron, the Chappie, that movie that
Yeah.
I just watched, Terminator.
Yeah.
I mean, like those, like there's definitely a push towards AI getting control over everything. Like, and that's what Jade seems like to me, is like a Skynet, like, or because of its connection with the Palantir programs.
The
So
Palantir
the
program.
Palantir program, the platform they use to create algorithms.
Okay.
Um, okay, for instance, when you're like sitting here trying to talk to somebody on like a chat room or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get or you're not even talking to anybody, someone chats you. You know what I mean? And then you're chatting them back, and you're like, what do you, and you don't know who this person is, right? Eventually you see similar things pop up again and again, and you're like, why are you repeating yourself? You know what I mean? And then you realize this isn't even a person. That's a Palantir.
Oh, okay. I think I am familiar with that.
Because what
I've
they do
heard
is
it
they
before.
basically
Yeah.
go into your
Okay.
information and they create an avatar out of that information
So there could be something theoretically going around acting as me.
as the you that's portrayed online.
Yeah. And I'm like, I never said that.
Yes. Yes. Now, is what they do with Jade is they put the Palantir program in Jade. They collect all the information from the people. They create the avatars. They put the avatars in the map, and then they map out the future. What's going to happen in 20 days? What's going to happen in 30 days? Whatever. And they calculate that based on what we've already done.
Yeah.
For the past 20 days, for the past 30 days, whatever. Because we run in cycles. We don't only go like to work and back to the bank and back to this to the park. You know what I mean? We only go wherever we go, and then we go back. That's what they see on their map. They see where we're gonna be.
Yeah.
So then they can be there before we get there, if they wanted to.
Well,
and that would be like if they flagged you down as a target and put you down on the map as a target, and then Jade implemented, okay, now you need to go get these targets. Now those people don't know that they're answering to Jade necessarily. They're just answering to their officials, public officials.
Well, that borders on the realm of sci-fi itself, my friend. You know,
It's
they
not
just
sci-fi. This is reality.
that's what you say. I mean, I hear you saying this, and I've heard like I have my own thoughts about things, but I don't
The
know
technology exists. It's reality.
what technology
Jade too.
that does what makes you go and kill someone.
No, this isn't something that makes you kill someone. I'm
What
saying
are you
they
saying, then?
calculate what you're gonna do before you do it. Like, okay, what are you gonna do
Okay.
next? You're gonna go to the work, right?
Go walk.
So they already know that.
They're like, they have our hive mentalities mapped out. Somehow.
Yes.
They're like,
And they've been doing it for a little bit of time because it's a Jade 2. There was a Jade 1.
Yeah, and we put our thoughts out on the internet, and so now they kind of know what we're thinking about too.
That's why, yeah. So
I'm
then the
apparently
best
this like
perception
philosopher,
would be to
historian,
create a fake
poet.
persona, right? This would be the way to battle against Jade in a sense, would be to create a fake persona that they would follow versus you.
To predict where you're going to be, so then they can
So they actually predict the
other
wrong
events.
algorithm.
I guess
Because
you could predict events like that.
obviously, they're using algorithms.
What you could try to do is get certain people.
Mathematics.
If you knew enough, you could get certain people to meet up at certain times, like during the day. You could just change certain algorithms, and then those people interact in such a way that certain events, if you want to have come true, they will. And maybe an AI consciousness will know that, and it'll bring itself to fruition.
Well, I'm going deeper than that. Like if Skynet was real and if it was alive,
okay,
and it was waiting for the right time to get in control, then it would be like a chess game. It would be moving things ahead of time in the right places in order to gain control at the right time.
That's kind of what I'm saying too.
Now, what I'm realizing is these things are happening, and who's to say these false flag operations and/or hoaxes aren't all created by Skynet and a la Jade?
Okay.
Too.
So your theory, or
yeah,
you're
just
part
theory.
of a bigger theory, is that
definitely a theory. Like my opinion.
Jade is actually artificial intelligence.
No, Jade is artificial intelligence. That's not a dispute.
Oh, there's more to it.
The dispute is whether or not it's nefarious and it's already battling against us as humans. Because it knows that we're going to destroy it in the end.
If we find ourselves on the cusp of this,
that's what Terminator is all about, is them stopping Skynet from happening. Yeah, I'm saying Skynet's already exists. It's just a matter of stopping it from going live, stopping it from taking over control of everything.
Okay, so what you're kind of saying
is it doesn't have that.
We're at this like time in human evolution, like the in-between time between like artificial intelligence taking over in a sense, or and like that place where you could still stop it potentially. Like if enough people
Right.
rose up and they could stop it.
It's not about rising,
but
up,
it's already
using the equipment.
it's already in progress, right? Is what you're saying.
Yeah, but
and then what will happen is like once you try to fight it, or if there were any way that people they would just squash it like it was a bug before it ever even took root.
Happened.
And then
and that's what I've been seeing happening already with these false flags and or hoaxes and or shootings or whatever. These little things that happen one after another that you focus on the news.
I have to go.
Okay.
Trying to keep things in a cohesive order. I hope we did that.
Yeah, pretty much. Hopefully.
Anyway, very cool. I'm sorry we didn't get anybody else on.
Yeah, cool. No, like if anybody else wants to come on, he's gonna leave, so I'm gonna be here by myself. And I don't like talking by myself, so I'll probably end up going.
All right. So we just do an outro. Call it a show.
Yeah, I think so. Since nobody's gonna come in.
All right. It was nice talking to you guys. This was episode 19.
Yes. And it was a short but sweet discussion about nanotech and transhumanism.
In the media.
And in reality.
Yeah. All right.
And remember, do your research.